Hey everybody, I'm Griffin McElroy from Polygon. I'm sitting here with Rami Ismail from Vlambeer. You guys just revealed that you are launching Wasteland Kings, a game you revealed earlier this week on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita.
Yeah.
What was the timetable on that?
We didn't really announce a timetable.
Oh, you
we
want to tell us this now, exclusive on video, set a date for yourselves that you have to match.
So it's sort of a weird game in itself already, because Wasteland Kings, we're going to develop that during a live stream, so we don't know when it's going to be done, but when it's done, we're going to start getting it over to Vita and PS4.
I guess the big question is, and it's probably one that Sony's answered several times already, but what is it about Sony that made you want to launch Wasteland Kings on PlayStation 4 and Vita?
So we've been working with Sony a lot lately, but I guess the main thing isn't necessarily that, because if you look at the earlier announcement that Microsoft did today, that was also exciting, but Sony managed to feel like a convenience. They don't try to power play themselves as a necessity or you need us. Sony's just, you have a video game, sure, bring it. And we really don't want to be spending a lot of time on negotiating weird deals or things like that. So Sony has always given us sort of the just make a video game, and that's what we like doing. So that's.
Where are you at in terms of bringing it to Xbox One? Because Microsoft did announce this morning that they have kind of reversed their position on self-publishing. They are going to be a much more welcoming place to indie developers. Is that something that you are interested in engaging in?
Yeah, no, we've actually been talking with them about that, and we're really excited to hear what they're promising. At this point, we haven't actually gone through that whole process, so we don't know whether they can do what they're saying, but what they're saying sounds really, really good, and we'd be happy to try that. Yeah.
I mean, is there any difficulty with, because I know Sony provides like a lot of support to indie devs in terms of like dev kits and even more, immaterial support, like just giving them advice on how to make their game succeed.
Or how about announcing a game at a large event?
Yeah, sure.
Gamescom.
I mean, is that something that if you get that kind of treatment from one company, it's you can't really go to the other one?
No, I don't think so. I also don't think that's in the interest of anybody, because at that point you're just limiting the amount of games that are going to come out on a specific platform. I think what is good is that Sony has never really been too busy with the whole exclusivity thing. I mean, they mention all these games that they're launching console exclusive or exclusive for console, and they mentioned those games during this conference, but as far as I know, nobody's really stuck in a deal where the game has to be Sony exclusive for a long time or can only launch on PlayStation. As far as I know, all these games are free to do whatever after a period of time.
Is there something to be said for the fact that Sony has kind of beaten Microsoft to the punch? Because that was a huge list of indie games that are coming
definitely.
to Rogue Legacy. They said Fez is coming to PlayStation,
Hotline
Vita.
Miami 2.
Hotline Miami 2 is coming to PS4 and Vita.
There were a lot of games. I was really happy to see N++, because I'm a big fan of N. There were a lot of games. I couldn't keep up with all of it at some point. That was fun. But yeah, no, I guess the thing really is, if the indie scene is this weird thing where a lot of it is about trust. It's about knowing that when you put effort into something, it's going to work out. And if you look at the reputation that Microsoft had gotten itself, even though Fez and Braid and Super Meat Boy did well on those platforms.
Those were some of the first, as far as I can think of, splash,
definitely.
humongous indie game successes.
And indie definitely owes a lot to that early stage of Xbox Live Arcade. Yeah. But if you talk to the developers, there were a lot of issues in dealing with Microsoft, and Sony has basically always sort of, well, at least since they've gotten their indie strategy together, they've always done their best to make sure that if indies talk about Sony, that the things that they've gone through with them are positive experiences. Yeah. And I think that is a big deal of why there are so many indie games launching on the platform right now.
Do you think that those games are going to thrive in the same way that that Braid and Fez and those early Xbox Live Arcade games, do you think they're going to thrive in sort of the same way on PlayStation 4 and the next gen in general? I
mean, the situations have changed. Digital distribution is different. I don't know if we'll see hits as big as that or maybe bigger. There's no real way to say that. I mean, is there going to be a next Minecraft? Well, eventually there's going to be a game that is a next Minecraft, right? But we don't know when or what or how or where. We just know that at this point, what is exciting about the console space for indies is that a lot of these consoles are opening up to indies and making sure that that specific game, can also exist on their platform.
Is that distinction of indie and AAA or whatever you want to call not indie? Do you think that distinction is just going to kind of stop existing in the next generation?
I think the word indie has always been sort of a troublesome word.
Yeah.
But it's easy to sort of divide games into two fractions for a lot of people. I never really believed in that really hard distinction, because there's always that game that is sort of, is that indie, is that not indie? I think nobody should really care about something like that. The interesting thing is that we have a spectrum of games that goes from like the smallest text adventure all the way to the big AAA blockbuster. And the platform that allows as many of those games on there is the platform that's going to have the most interesting, most diverse, and most fun content.
So what's next for Vlambeer in terms of, just like scale and scope? Because you guys announced today that Ridiculous Fishing has been doing really well on all the platforms. Is it just iOS, or is it
just iOS at the moment?
This point? Yeah. But it's making a killing.
Yeah, it's
more
doing
than a
really
single platform.
yeah.
Like, and you're obviously like sowing your seeds in next gen. Like, what are you guys going to, upscale? Is that something you're
No,
interested
we're not.
in?
No, it's me and JW. The way Vlambeer works is really based around it just being me and JW. And yes, we work with a lot of people around the world all the time, but we never really intended to make bigger games. We always sort of wanted to make better games, and that is sort of the thing that we're focusing on. And I don't think adding people will necessarily help that. I think what does help that is just the fact that a lot of people have heard of us at this point, and obviously people, including people at Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, are paying attention. And that puts us in a position where we can do a lot of fun things for ourselves, but also for other developers. And I think that is the most exciting thing for Vlambeer at the moment.
Well, congratulations on continuing your dominance, so just world dominance in general, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next.
Thanks so much.